Coming to you live from deep within a radioactive wasteland. Also
Something
possibly
or other.
windy. Yeah, like
And
windy
icy.
and icy.
Icy.
Well, it's not really icy or windy. It's actually warm and
And
sunny and
and
leafy.
leaf
Like leaves
covered.
everywhere. And
Yeah.
which is not great because a dog goes outside when we take him on a walk or we take him in the backyard to try to train him how to go to the bathroom outside. He eats the leaves.
Yeah, no, they do that. He'll do that, and he'll also eat towels and used Kleenexes.
No, not that. What? Yeah. Well.
Sometimes. If they're where he can get them, used cum rags, absolutely 100%.
Yeah. Cum raids?
Oh, yeah.
Cum raids, like the labor conference? Oh, cum rags.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
no, it's
cum
like,
raids.
it's when you jerk off and then you wipe it with a piece of toilet paper and you put it in the bathroom garbage. Oh, and maxi pads.
The rant zerker is everything. Anything goes.
And tampons. Dogs love those. Also, anything rotten. They will either eat it or roll in it.
Wow, I'm beginning to regret owning a dog now.
Yeah, no, they're
all I've seen him eat so far. All I've seen him eat so far are leaves, branches, which worried me a bit, and the occasional rock. Although I think he just gums the rock and then puts it down, and then he's licked sand.
Okay, that's but you know what else they do is they like to roll in other dogs' shit.
Hasn't done that yet. He's sniffed. Yeah. He sniffed some other dog's shit, but he hasn't done that.
Okay, well, does he hold his tail up or down when you're taking him for a walk? Because if he holds if he holds his tail up, he probably won't do that. But if he holds his tail down, right, that means he feels like anxious and uneasy, and he feels like he's trespassing on some other dog's territory. Right, and then he'll roll in that dog's shit to disguise himself as that. He thinks that other dog will come up and notice him and be like, "Oh, that's my shit there. That's not another dog. That's actually my own shit." And
disguising his smell.
I won't bother it. Right. So I mean, like dogs are, they're easy to understand once.
Wow, that was a really mean thing I said.
Oh, yeah, no, they are like male feminists, right? They're not sneaky fuckers. They're just sneaky walkers. They, like if they feel like if they feel insecure and they feel like they're on some other dog's turf, they'll roll in the poop. And you can tell that whether that's what they feel, if they carry their tail up or down. Although, how old is your puppy?
He's going on 9 weeks.
Oh yeah, he won't lift his tail up outdoors for a while probably. But yeah, usually by 16 weeks you can tell whether they're confident, their tail's up, or whether they're lack confidence and their tail is tucked or down. Yeah, so it's it's a learning curve with dogs,
Yeah. They're worth it.
Sometimes no matter what you do, they end up being psychos. So, like Kevin. So, yeah.
Well, this dog seems to be pretty chill.
Oh yeah, no, I was watching that little video clip you sent me, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" They trained him to sit. They trained him to stay. He's like 9 weeks old. What the fuck? I got this 5-year-old dog who's a total psycho who doesn't listen to a thing I say. So, yeah.
Well, we're still working on teaching him now how not to bite. He doesn't bite hard, but I don't really. It's uncomfortable.
You won't be able to teach him that. And it'll only be uncomfortable while he has his baby teeth.
Okay.
Because they're pointier and sharper.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. No, but I mean that's the way they want to play. That's the way they grab your hand when they want to bring you somewhere, or grab your pant leg when they want to bring you somewhere, right? They do that with their hands, basically, is their mouth. So they do that, and they're generally very gentle, but puppies do need to learn how to be more gentle. particularly since their teeth are so much more sharp than adult teeth.
Jojo doesn't do the mung thing. He doesn't mung your hand if he boops. He'll boop you with his nose if he wants you to go somewhere or follow him.
Yeah.
He herds us, or he herds us. Mostly he herds Lindsay, but he boops. So maybe your dog will start booping after once he figures out how he wants to how to basically express when he wants to play versus when he wants you to take him outside. That's how Jojo does it. He'll boop us. So.
Yeah. And some dogs are way more vocal than others. Like Kevin never stops talking, right? Like if somebody in the room is talking, she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. She's like Scooby-Doo, Ruby-Roo, whoa. And she'll be growling and everything. And it's like, she's not being aggressive. She's just like, pay attention to me now. I'm trying to say something important. And it's like, nobody cares what you have to say. Literally nobody. So yeah, but she never learns. So
all right.
She's too smart to learn. So
yeah, I mean, today we taught Scipio to walk all the way to the badger cave.
Wow.
Yes, on leash without stopping to smell every single blade of glass or blade of grass.
Oh, that would be great. Neither of my dogs are capable of walking 2 feet without sniffing something, even in the house, when nothing has changed since the last time they got up.
Well, the way we did it was, and I know everybody's probably antsy to get to the actual content, but we're stalling for a reason. Because we don't want to get into
horrible. It's horrible.
It's horrible. But the way that we did it is we just gave him lots and lots of positive reinforcement when he trotted beside us. And as soon as he stopped, we would do the, stand still like a tree and not look at him thing. He does not like to be ignored at all. And then as soon as he'd start up again, we'd do the positive reinforcement. And it didn't take long for him to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well,
best way to train them. Although it can be the hardest to not look at your dog.
Yeah. Or not give any energy at all.
Yeah, not give any attention or energy.
Well, and then you have dogs like Kevin who are like they're just like basically I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care. She's smart and she's bad. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, there are 4 types of dogs. The stupid good dogs, not a problem because they may be stupid, but they're good. The stupid bad dogs, not so much a problem because maybe they're bad, but they can't get into too much trouble because they're stupid, right? The smart good dogs who are great, and then there's the smart bad dogs. That's Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the worst. The absolute, I love her to pieces, but she is a smart bad dog. All right, let's
do it. So, Alzy, you might want to say a few things before we do about
so
the
we are
Media Blitz, etc.
We are doing our monthly fundraiser.
We're also doing the punishment if you guys don't deliver.
Okay, and we're also doing the punishment. There you go. That's the punishment.
It won't be a 1.5 second clip either. It'll be like 2.5 minutes. Yeah. Until the donations start.
Until morale improves.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the beatings are beginning to work.
Yes, indeed. And morale is improving. Okay, so we do have a monthly fundraiser. It's at feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz to go directly there, or you can go to Feed the Badger and just choose the pop-ups. We are $215 away from successfully funding it, which is, it's a great jump forward since Monday, which where we were at, I think, let me just double check. And I want to thank everybody who has or supported so far. Very generous of you. And again, if you want to join them, that's at feedthebadger.com, and you can follow the pop-ups. On Monday, we were at, I think 1,000. Actually, I think on Monday we were at, 1,670 when we started. So we've gone forward about $1,400. So we only have about 215 to do. So right now, every single $5 really counts, because we're getting so close to the finish line. We could win by a nose. It could be your nose. So go to feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. And once again, if we don't get this done quickly, we will go to the punishment sphere of sound, of wailing.
Yeah, it will. I will enjoy it, because you know what? As obnoxious as those feminist howlers are, they're actually easier to live with than Kevin.
Yeah.
They're easier to listen to than
I don't
Kevin.
know. I mean, you have to clean up after them, and there's like a large number, and they're loud.
All right, let's do.
That's a toss-up for me, but okay. So we're going to be continuing on this victimfocusblog.com. We are on number 18 of 37 questions to prove that systemic misandry doesn't exist anywhere in the world, by Dr. Jessica Taylor.
37, except for the missing number 4.
Yeah, except for number 4. So depending on how you count things, well, I mean, 2 + 2 can also equal 5 in the current year.
And math, the number system, it's all just a patriarchal construct.
Yeah. What was do you remember that thing from The Simpsons, the really early Simpsons, where the teacher was like, how do the numbers make you feel?
Feel, yeah. Like, when are we going to actually do some math? And they're like, ooh, stop pooping on our poop train.
Yeah. This isn't arithmetic. This is her-rithmetic.
Oh, God.
So, all right, anyway, number 18 was where we left off, right? Can you name one female-led major world religion which suggests or describes men as inferior to women? Did I read that one? I feel like we did do that one.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
Start at 19.
Can you name one country where males must get permission and supervision of females to travel, marry, or seek health care? Still doing that. Doing that.
Okay.
No, yeah. Well, first of all, we're talking about Muslim nations again, so I guess this could be, this isn't really, honestly, what is it called? 36 something or others to prove misandry? Yeah. Or what's the freaking name of this thing again?
Misandry does not
exist, but misogyny does globally.
Okay, so basically, if you removed all Muslim countries from this list, what would be remaining of this list? Almost nothing.
The 1 in 3 rape statistics. That's the big one, because
maybe what we should do is we should just remove the Islamophobia from this list and go forward.
Okay, but what would be left would be certain Catholic dominant countries in Africa
that don't do this. Well, maybe
they don't do that. They don't do that. But child marriage, like young girls being married off and things like that.
To young boys, usually.
Yes, often to young boys. Yes, but those kinds of things happen. So I mean, that's all you'd really be left with is Catholic nations, where you have extremely dirt poor Catholic nations, where parents are like, oh my fucking God, I can't afford to feed my daughter. Just let's find the nearest male who will take responsibility for her, right? And it's like, well, okay, can't travel, can't blah, can't make medical decisions. It's like, why? Why Can't they make their own medical? Because the men pay for all the medical decisions.
Yeah.
Yep.
True.
Right. So, like if I want to go get cosmetic surgery, right? And I can just basically say, bill it to my husband. Should I be allowed to do that?
Well, no. But I mean, I'm sure that there are many that would argue that, yes, you should be able to do that as historical systems. Something.
Yeah, or if I need some kind of necessary medical procedure, but my husband can't afford it, can I just say, well, just give it to me anyway and bill my husband who can't afford it?
Yeah.
Yep.
But once again, like if we removed all of the entries of this
that are specific to Islam,
that are specific to Islam, she doesn't have much of a list. So, okay,
not
is
so
Islam
far, anyway.
Is Islam responsible for the worst crimes against humanity? As
Women.
just a general, like this isn't just the Muslim extremists, guys. This is just the average Muslim in an Islamic country is responsible for the worst crimes against humanity that feminists can dream of.
Against women.
Against women. Well, that's the word. What? Okay, Brian, are there worse crimes in the world against men? No.
Well, yeah, it's just women.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The feminists are saying that Islam, just regular run-of-the-mill Islam, Muslim countries, are responsible for perpetrating the most heinous crimes against humanity just by existing. That's what this list says. Now, we could talk about how it's really improbable that even Islamic men created a society for their own benefit at the expense of women and truly are motivated by misogyny. But then the other question is this: why does any other cultural tradition have to answer for theirs?
Yeah.
It's like what are you okay, lady Jessica, what was her name? Jessica, I think.
Jessica Taylor.
You really hate Muslims and think they are satanic. Fine. Do you have anything else besides your hatred of Islam and Muslims? Do you have anything else on this list that actually supports your point? If we took out your Islamophobia, if we took it out, what would be left? Would there be anything left? What you seem to have left is the 1 in 3 women will be raped or sexually assaulted in her lifetime. Well, there's a high amount of men who also experience rape and sexual assault by women in their lifetime. So we're left with, okay, human's gonna human.
Well, it's not even 1 in 3 women will be sexually or it's actually the statistic is 1 in 3 women will be sexually or physically assaulted in their lifetime. Well, if you're talking about both sexual and physical assaults, I can guarantee you the number's 1 in 1 for men. Like that's the statistic globally.
Yeah.
Is that 1 in 3 women will be physically or sexually assaulted in their lifetime? Well, 1 in 1 men, probably before the age of 16.
Yes. And that would be the accurate statistic if you looked at the situation for men. So rather than a situation, and here's the thing, she says 1 in 3 without any reference to the statistic for men, which is 1 in 1, like Karen has said. I don't know any man who hasn't either been sexually assaulted, raped, or beaten, or physically aggressed against.
Physically,
there's no man. So what she's saying, when you look at it in context, if she says 1 in 3 is indication of systemic misogyny or a lack of systemic misandry, and we actually contextualize and say, well, wait a second, it's 1 in 1 for men. What does that mean? That means that this statistic proves the exact opposite of what she's saying. Women are protected to the tune of 2/3 against sexual and physical violence relative to men.
That's if the 1 in 3 is like not bullshit.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure that the 1 in 3 is not bullshit, because when you're talking
if you're including physical assault, because everyone gets into a fight, or
everyone gets into a fight, everyone gets into a slap fest, everyone, and you look at physical assault. grabbing somebody by the wrist is considered physical assault, right? You know, like if you grab somebody by the wrist, right, and they have if they have a reasonable perception that you intend to physically harm them, or you have the capability of physically harming them, you've been assaulted, right? Even if you don't touch them. If you throw a French fry at somebody's face.
Yeah.
Because you're mad at them, and they have the perception that you might take it further, you've been assaulted, right? So I mean, like when you're talking about physical assault, it's like, yeah, no.
Kind of a broad brush.
Yeah, it's a really big freaking tent there.
All right, so
and once you get into more extreme forms, like full-on rape, and full-on like beaten half to death, it's all men.
Oh, my husband, he was beaten up 4 times before the age of 18. Twice, his nose was broken. Then one, like, you know, after that, because that was when he was, you know, playing hockey in midget AAA. But when he was living at home here in the house where we currently reside in, and he was working in the west end of the city, and he had to take the bus home and walk home from the transit station, right? Sometimes at midnight. So this one time, he's like, oh, there's 2 guys, they're following me, right? And, oh, fuck, one of them staying on the sidewalk to the right of me, right? To the right and behind me, and the other one's on the fucking street coming around so they're trying to, they want to freaking roll me, right? And then he, one of them the guy behind him puts his, you know, takes a shot, and then he just starts swinging, and he's a fairly physically fit guy. I mean, you have to be to play hockey, right? And he manages to chase them off, and, you know, on his way home, between the transit station and his house is the local police station. So he stops in there and he says, I don't, you know, here's what happened. And I'm worried because, I mean, like, this is prime gangland territory in the city here. And I don't know whether these guys were members of a gang. I don't know whether I'm in danger of any kind of retaliation or what. And the cops were like, you know, if they come after you, then come back. But for now, we can't do anything. At least they didn't charge him with anything, but he was just like asking for their help. He was like, can you help me out? And they were like, no. So yeah, no, that was all before he turned 18.
All right, so would you like me to go to the next one, or just try to find the ones that are not just about Islamic countries? Because I think this is going to be a really short show if I skip. But, I mean, I'll just keep going.
Well, I have some people to thank.
Oh, good.
It might be a very short show because, and actually I've considered that this might not be the best way to do this, because then people, you know, like if you donate, we finish the fundraiser off and then we end the show and we're like, yeah, that's not really much of a reward. But anyway, we do have a few people to thank. We got Jamie Van. Well, that's all of your name, I will say, who gave us $50. Thank you, Jamie Van. And we have, oh, come on. I clicked the wrong button. No, don't give me the donut of death.
What?
I don't want the donut of death. No. Oh, God, no. Stop the donut of death.
I'm reloading it on my end, too. So.
Okay, I'll probably have to do a poke. And then we get
93%. I guess I'm not really caught up.
Schmitty gave us $25. Thank you, Schmitty. So those are the two that have gone through. I will do a poke so you know how much more we have left, but I think we're at $140 left.
Oh, we're really close.
Yeah, we were really close when we began. So
no, but we're even closer now.
Yes, getting very, very close. So we got 100.
Yeah, right. Well, they really don't want to. They really don't want to hear that punishment.
Wailing.
No, well, it's probably they don't want us to go off the air. 'Cause, I mean, who the heck is going to be left if we disappear? Okay.
True.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to be left of this particular viewpoint and sort of understanding that societies come out of the interaction between men and women? I mean, where else would it come from? And if society is failing, it probably means something is wrong in the situation between men and women. I mean, that seems logical to me, but perhaps somebody can tell me if that's confusing. And
no,
I can spin out my ticker tape of bullshit.
It's what we've been saying for a long time. I said, if we don't do something about the relationship between men and women, all this other shit that people are talking about is all meaningless.
Not gonna matter. Yeah.
And also all the other shit that. Like, if we do something between the relationship between men and women, the effect is so powerful that we probably will just be like, yeah, that other shit doesn't just matter, but it is actually pretty trivial.
It is.
It is. Yeah, right. Yeah. It is. Most of what we see in the world today is trivial. If we fix the relationship between men and women, it'll all go away and everything will be so much better that we'll wonder why we hadn't done it before, essentially. Okay.
All right. I'm going to read the next one. If it's an Islamic one, we'll just skip it. But what I think is happening here, there's a little bit of I don't know if bait and switch is the right way to put it, but I think that if you pressed this woman on how she's essentially characterizing Muslim nations mostly as examples of oppressive patriarchies, if pressed on it, she might be inclined, and I think this is just some of the sort of rhetorical games that usually get played, she might make a defense of something along the lines of, I don't have a problem with the Muslim religion, but this is actually something that men are doing to women in these countries, and that it's not a product of Islam, but rather a product of patriarchy. I think that is why she feels comfortable saying this, because she can essentially worm her way out of being accused of Islamophobia by saying, this is what the men of these countries are doing to the women. So it's really not the religion. It's, it's men. It's patriarchy. So that's probably what they would say, because they create, like, they create these multiple overlapping realities, right? With their language. And so it's always shifting in the way that is the most advantageous to them. So if you say, no, you're being an Islamophobe because you're saying this about Islam, she'll then say, no, that's not Islam, that's patriarchy. Because, and then she'll bring up some Islamic country where, they don't have these kinds of laws, because they're different, right? So, like, for example, Indonesia, I think, has the highest concentration of Muslim people, but the way that they structure their government and their laws is not the same as the Taliban. So then she can use that to essentially get out of accusations of Islamophobia, which is why, at least to me, accusations of any phobias or isms is kind of useless, because they've always got, like, something to fall back on.
And even in Indonesia, there's like an incredible variety of sort of levels of adherence to strict Sharia law, right? So I mean, like, even Joe Rogan said, okay, I'm getting sick of hearing about, the woman was whipped, right, for standing too close to her boyfriend, but her boyfriend was whipped for standing too close to her, and nobody cares about him, right?
Yeah.
And but that's happening in Aceh province.
Yeah, sure. And so
right?
like
It's not happening in the entirety of Indonesia.
No. But I mean, again, it comes down to this is the way, because like when you're dealing with the things that progressives say, I'm just saying that as a blanket term because it applies. The tactics are the same. It's just like the details that change. It's always essentially just a rhetorical game that you're playing or that you're forced into. They're not actually interested in the issues that they talk about in principle. They just find that they have political utility when they frame things a certain way. So when she says all these things and they appear to be, all arrows appear to be pointing at Islamic countries, or at least, countries that are strongly adherent to Sharia, or even countries that are run by, terrorists, revolutionaries like the Taliban or Boko Haram.
Or even countries that are mostly Catholic but are hideously poor.
Yeah.
And don't have the luxury of like being like, oh yeah, no, you do you.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It's your thing. I can't tell you who to sock it to.
Right. But like in order to, because like in those Catholic countries, which are in Africa, for example, if you try to invoke the whole, so you have a problem with black and brown people, then because of the way that intersectionality arranges reality, they can shift away and they just go, well, no, this is actually patriarchy. Patriarchy creates these conditions, not Islam, except in the case of Catholicism, in which case, yes, we can demonize that because fuck, Christianity.
Even though the issue at hand here is basically scarcity, danger, right? And the bargain between men and women within that environment, which is women give up some freedom in exchange for safety, which is provided by men.
Who sacrifice.
The more they demand men provide, the more women have to actually give something in return.
That's right. And
then they turn around and say this exchange is somehow damaging to women.
Oh, and the stupid thing is, right? Here we are in the West and we're like, oh, women are independent. No, they're not. No, they're not. Right? Men are men between not just men in general, men between the ages of 40 and 79 are the only net taxpayers in the Western world.
Yep.
They're the only people who contribute more than they take out to the tax system. Women, they die with a freaking massive overdraft. They die with a massive debt to the government. They are entirely dependent on men, but because we inserted this middleman called government to extract that money from men and hand it to women, it seems like women are independent.
Let's get the Fed in here. Because we act, or at least the West, and the West is all the Western nations are basically tied to the world currency. We just sort of parasitize on it. So this refers to everyone, not just the U.S. Because the U.S. can essentially print money and buy shit, the U.S. doesn't need to be productive. Therefore, it doesn't need to incentivize productivity in its men. Therefore, it can do all kinds of bizarre and strange things and not actually maintain the relationship between men and women that makes both men and women the most productive. We
or
can break
the relationship between men and productivity.
We can break that because again, the world currency. And because we can go into these developing nations and basically steal their resources, we can have non-binary, gender fluid, unicorn people who think that they don't have to contribute anything to the greater society, either by incentivizing men or working yourself as a woman, or by being a man who engages in building a community. We think we have become enlightened as a nation.
Oh yeah, no, we've risen
above ourselves.
We've risen above the idea that labor is required for survival, right? Okay, look at every other freaking organism on the planet. Even trees perform labor to survive, right?
Basically, we have risen above the idea that we need men and women to cooperate and work together and incentivize each other's productivity in order to produce a society, because we have the world currency and we can just take it from other nations and cultures. We can just yoink it and give them some blue beads. Everybody's happy.
We can yoink it from our most productive and make them less incentivized to be productive. And, and this idea that these feminists have, right? I should have the right to move about freely in the world while feeling, not just being, but feeling entirely safe. Have you ever fucking watched a squirrel? Okay, because it hops three hops, and then it looks around, what's going to eat me? And you can see its little heart fucking beating. You can see it through the fur, right? It's like, it's just going a mile a minute. It's like, what's going to eat me now? What's going to eat me now? What's going to eat me next, right? And that squirrel has no right to feel safe, right? That squirrel has no right to be safe. And it especially has no right to feel safe, right? But these women in Western societies are like, I don't just have the right to be safe.
You know why they have that right?
I have the right to feel safe and protected, which I might not feel safe and protected even when I am.
Okay, can I tell you why they have that sense of entitlement?
Because they're women. And
because they're men, human men.
I know, have basically said, yeah, we're just gonna give you everything you ask for.
No, they have that sense of entitlement because human men have evolved to protect their women. Well, not even just human, like male mammals in a social species have evolved to protect the females. So basically they're saying they're appealing to something that could only exist because it evolved to exist in them, and that's because men evolved to provide it. And they're saying they're basing their entire request on something that men have evolved to provide for them by prefacing it by saying
you're not providing it.
You're not providing. You don't even want to. That's not what men are. It's so it's so infuriating. It's one thing for a woman to be like, I need men's protection. Okay. I need it because I am a woman. I'm not as physically capable. That doesn't mean that I can sit on my ass and not do what I can do to provide and protect.
Yeah, but I'm more vulnerable.
But I'm more vulnerable. So I need men's protection. And it's another thing to stride up and in a whiny, tantrumy voice say, I deserve protection even from my own feelings. For free, and you should give it to me because men are awful and they always construct society for their own benefit, and they're the reason I need protection in the first place. If you disappear, and all of this drivel, this mean-spirited anti-male drivel just vomits out of them. I mean, like I said, it's one thing to be a woman and say I need protection and I'm grateful for it. And I'll do what I can to have your back
and
I'll respect
the men. I'll respect the men who provide that for me. Yeah.
And I'll have your back
when you need it.
My
father, my husband, my brother, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that you can provide me with that, right? To make sure that you're healthy and that you're happy and that you're also psychologically stable and that you have plenty of good food, nutritious food to eat, and that you're supported in your job and all of those things, right? I will do what I can to enable you to be a protector and provider, right? Whether you're my father or my brother or my uncle or my son or my husband, right? I will enable you to do that because that's my role when I'm demanding you to fit into that role. Right?
And there is an aspect.
It's another thing to say, oh, yeah, no, I deserve you to. You need to know your role. And your role is to provide and protect, and protect me while I give you nothing. And not even respect. And deny that you're even doing it. Deny that you're even doing it.
And deny that it's part of your nature, and instead say that no, you're really a villain who wants to hurt me. Like it's so appalling. It's so
it's gross.
This is one of the things that really infuriates me. And it is a lack of quid pro quo, because there is a way that women protect men. Women protect men from being socially ostracized, from being manipulated into social roles or beliefs about themselves that are harmful. Like, we make sure men remain within the circle of the of the firelight of the campfire.
Yeah.
And that the rest of the community doesn't evict them.
So the opposite of cancel culture and Me Too.
Yeah, the opposite of cancel. Well, this is what women give men today. And we wonder why the world is fucking falling apart. It's like the essential deal between men and women is falling apart. Men protect women externally, women protect men internally. They make sure that if a man is ostracized, it's for a good goddamn reason. And this is the deal is not there anymore. And it's not even that men are like walking away. I think most men don't walk away from the deal. The desire to protect women is that great that they will retain, trying to maintain their ability to do so, even in a system where women are constantly spitting acid on them and constantly undermining them, demanding that men do what they say men don't or refuse to do, as men are doing it. And they'll still do it, but the problem is that at a certain point, the psychology collapses. There's so much confusion. There's so much. It basically just induces a state of depression, because you don't know. Well, if I do this, am I bad? Am I a bad person for trying to protect? Yes. Am I a bad person for just leaving you alone? Yes. Am I a bad person for just going and doing my own thing? Yes. You're just a bad person, so suffer. And it's like, what do you expect? I mean, the men who are self-conscious, who are self-aware, probably are just saying, I don't want anything to do with this. But there's lots of guys who aren't, and they're just checking out.
But like it's like, you look at it. Am I bad for succeeding? Yes, because you took an opportunity away from a more deserving woman. Am I bad for failing? Yes, because now you can't provide for a woman, right? So it's like it's the eternal catch-22 of the post-feminist society, is that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you're a man, okay, so my husband has this female coworker, and she's like 28 or something like that, and she really wants to. She's not a very sexual person, right? But she wants to. She's got the baby rabies, right? And she wants to settle down. She wants to find a male partner, and she's feeling so betrayed by modern society, because she's like, okay, well, like, my body's an 8, my face is like a 6, I'm 28 years old, I'm past my prime reproductive years, I'm feeling the itch to reproduce, and I'm having a hard time finding a male partner, because all the men around me are of lower status than I am. Because I was artificially promoted, because I work in a male-dominated field. I was artificially promoted because I'm a woman in a male-dominated field. So all of the men around me earn less money than I do, have lower status than I do, right? And that doesn't feel right. And I don't really want to go on dating sites, because I'm not, she's not looking to hook up. She's not the kind of person that sleeps around or whatever, right? I mean, whether that's a religious thing or just a personality thing, I don't know. But she's basically stuck in this position where all of the men around her are artificially kept down, right? And she's being artificially elevated. And so all these men are no longer viable options. They're not They're contractors, not employees, right? So they don't have job security. So even if she like hits it off with one of them, right? Okay, well, he doesn't have any job security and I do. So, but I'm going to want to stay at home with the kids. I'm going to want him to be the primary breadwinner while I do that, but I can't feel secure in that because he doesn't have any job security because he's a contractor. And it's like, and I'm like, well, this is what happens.
Yeah. It's if you want to have kids now, ladies, you got to let the man raise them. Because you wanted all the affirmative action, you wanted all the job security. Now you got it. So all the men around you don't have job security and they're lower status, even though they probably work harder.
And she feels betrayed also because, everybody told her, get your career, right? Get your degree, then like pursue your career and then think about settling down and finding a partner, right? So she's 28 years old now. She's got the baby rabies. Any man that she starts dating is going to know, oh my fucking God, this chick's got baby rabies, right? She's going to go off the pill 3 months into the relationship, get knocked up, right? Or she's going to pressure me to want to have a kid within the first 6 months, right? Before I even know if I want to commit to her, right? And because she's in a rush, because she waited too long. And I'm not in that big a rush. I can date a 23-year-old nursing student, and get all the sex I want and blah blah blah. And I don't have to freaking have all of this complication, right? So it's like you're looking at a situation where they're convincing women to leave it to the point where they're at a stage where they're desperate. Right? And then the men can see that they're desperate, they're in a rush to get it done right away, right? Forget about vetting and a year of courtship and all of that. No, let's just get down to the baby making right now. Okay? And men don't want that. They want to know that if they're going to commit to a woman that she's worth committing to. That takes time, right? So it's like, and on top of that, it's like, someone who's 24, there's way more time to vet that person and find out whether that we are long-term compatible and I want to commit to her, compared to this 28, 29, 30, 32-year-old woman who's desperate to get knocked up, right? And it's like, so she feels absolutely freaking betrayed by the feminist narrative. Go get your degree, get your career, get situated, right? And then it's gonna penalize her again, right? Because if she manages to find somebody, she's going to take a year off, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years if she has 2 kids, right? Or 4, okay? During that time, she's not building up her human capital. When she goes to reinsert herself into this male-dominated field that requires constant updating of your skill set, she's going to be 4 years behind all the men who used to be beneath her.
Okay.
So she's losing human capital by taking a break when she does. Why wouldn't you just be like, okay, well, take a 2-year diploma or whatever, or go take a year or 2 of university, meet the man you want to be with, go through the courtship, have your kids when they're the most likely to be healthy, which is when you're in your early to mid 20s. Okay. Take a break from your education, right? Then go back to school, complete your degree after you've finished raising those kids to school age, to age 4 or whatever, or daycare age, right? Go back, complete your degree, right? And then start your career, and you'll be 100% caught up with the men around you. And like, why wouldn't you do it that way?
I'm sorry.
Because you've been sold on this idea that here's the order in which you need to do things, right? Career first, children after.
Mm. Yep.
Which means that when you take the break in your career for children, you're basically damaging your career.
Yep.
Yeah. Which wouldn't happen if you did 2 years of university, then took a break to have children, then did your second 2 years of university, and then got into your career, right? You'd be totally up to speed.
Yeah, but we can't. The thing is that would be recognizing the difference between men and women. And also, I don't fucking care. Like, she could still do it if she really wanted to by just getting a man who has lower status and allowing him to take care of the kids if need be. That could happen.
A plumber or like a guy who,
or even another engineer who.
I don't know. Plumbers make good money, man.
I know they do.
Yeah,
but they have lower social status. That's a problem.
Yeah. So what the fuck? Why should I care? Like, seriously, bitch, lower your standards.
She's an engineer. He's just in operations. He only has a 2-year degree from Nate.
Who gives a fuck?
He doesn't have an electrical engineering degree from the University of Alberta.
I have to deal with men who are in a similar state of, I guess, existential situation. They want to have a relationship. They want to have kids. They want to have families. And they would 100% date a woman who is in similarly attractiveness to themselves, similar financial system, or even lower income, all of that. And they can't make it happen because of bitches like this who just won't lower their standards. And I'm not talking about lowering their standards necessarily in terms of looks or whatever, because that's a part of attraction or personality. I mean, just lowering your standards in terms of, okay, he has a 2-year diploma, I got a degree, that's fine. He doesn't have the same amount of stability in his workplace, so maybe I'll have to work while he takes care of the children. That's fine. That's not going to result in a worse outcome for my children. And that's the other thing. It's all about her. What kind of person does she deserve to be a mother if it's all about her? She doesn't want to be a mother unless she raises them, even though her children will be perfectly fine if they have a father who's the primary caretaker. They'll be fine. There's nothing, they aren't going to turn into purple, betentacled creatures because their father was their primary caretaker. But it's about herself. She wants the full experience. Like going to a spa and just being, she's going to be the mom, right? Everything is going to be about her. Fuck it. She doesn't deserve to breed. I'm glad she isn't able.
Well, what I'm saying is, though, right? That is a scenario that is best sought when you're 23, 24, 25 years old as a woman.
That's fine.
Absolutely 100% best sought. You're more likely to have success. And then it's less likely to damage your career long term if you want to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever, right?
Well, then it's a really off topic. It's getting really off topic, yeah.
But like this is what it is. Like, these women are starting to wake up and feel betrayed by this narrative. Right. And I'm just like, well, maybe that's what it's going to take.
Well, maybe it is what it's going to take. But to be honest, if it continues to just be about what I want and no consideration for what's necessary to perpetuate society or raise children in a healthy manner, I don't give a fuck. Like, this is not really a wake up when it's just, oh, my interests are suddenly being impeded.
By the decisions that the feminist
by the decisions that I made. Here's the other thing. On the
advice. Yeah.
On the advice. It might be on the advice, but when you make a decision, I did lots of shit on the advice of other people. I pursued a fucking lawsuit on the advice of other people. But it was still my choice. Yeah. And I started to regret it, but it was still my choice to do that. So I have to live with it, and I have to live with the consequences of it. It's still your choice to listen to feminists and not look into it further. Still your choice. And incidentally, she can still quit her job and get a lower status job. And then she can marry an engineer, and he will then have a higher status job than her. And that could work too. If your solution doesn't, if you have, this is what is obnoxious about women. The solution to this woman's problems is within her grasp.
Yeah.
And yet she chooses not to take it. She is sitting down at a desk and merely needs to stand up and get her solution off a shelf that is at eye height. And she's sitting there looking at her solution, which is at eye height, and all she has to do is get up and saying, oh, everyone fucked me. No, you fucked you. Moving on.
All right, let's go to the next point.
Okay, so number 19. I already read that one. Number 20.
Number 20.
Yeah. Number 20.
I think we read number 20, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
I don't fucking know anymore.
But okay, can you name one country?
They're all the same.
They're all very similar.
They're all the same. Painfully similar.
I'll just read them so that the people. All right, I'm just reading them so that the people who might be listening to the audio for this later can mull over these questions and can't accuse us of not actually reading them. So we've gone for an hour, and I'm on the second question. Can you name one country where large groups of women publicly stone men to death for showing their skin?
No. But
no.
I can show you countries where large groups of men and women stone young men to death for having emo haircuts and wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah.
That would be Iraq.
Aren't men in Islamic countries also expected to dress a certain way? So,
yes.
This
is irrelevant. But this is basically ignorance.
No, this is just her telling us. Yeah, she's just telling us that she has a massive blind spot. Like, in every one of these issues, she's making a mostly non-gendered, or she's taking a mostly non-gendered situation and turning it into a gendered situation because the only thing that she can see is how women have it worse. So when she looks at any place, she's just going to woman worst, ignore whatever the situation is for men, and then make the claim that this particular environment is hostile towards women exclusively.
Oh, and a lot of those women who get stoned to death for dressing immodestly, who reported them to the morality police? Women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Knowing full well the consequences. Knowing people full well what was going to happen to that woman.
People who are assigned to enact the violent, quote-unquote, justice of a society may often be men, but that doesn't mean that they're the ones who decide what justice is.
Yeah.
That's very often women and women's social power.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think we need to queue up the screaming because we've only got one $10. I mean, not only, I really appreciate it. Tib Full V gave us $10, so thank you, Tib Full V. I'm probably mispronouncing your name. But I think we should do one more and then do some screaming, unless we get some freaking donations.
All right, I'm going to play the feminist wailing in a second. I'll read the next question.
Remember, feedthebadger.com. You can follow the pop-ups, or you can go to feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. Okay.
All right, number 21. Number 21. Can you name one country where large groups of women kill men for having sex before marriage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because men who have sex before marriage are also subject to the Islamic prohibition against extramarital and premarital sex.
Yeah.
And
women probably enforce that too, right?
Women
socially.
Enforce it. Yeah, of course they do. They're the ones who are like basically, it's the mother of the woman who was deflowered, who's often the person who reports it to the authorities, who then go and scoop up both the man and the woman, who are then subjected to the same punishment unless the woman can prove that she was forced. If she can basically argue that she was forced into sex, she gets a free pass. He gets the death sentence.
Yeah.
Yep.
And often, even when if it isn't the death sentence, often the punishment for the man is worse.
Oh yeah, no, it's like
she'll get 8 lashes, he'll get 32 or something like that.
Yeah, under the Quran, it's supposed to be an equal number of lashes and an equal number of years of exile, right? I think it's 2 years, right, of exile in terms of like in the verbiage of the Quran, which would mean 2 years in prison, right, for premarital sex. They're supposed to get the same punishment, but they don't. They don't. The women get a lesser punishment. They're less likely to be lashed. They're less likely to serve time. And if they can basically say, well, it wasn't consensual, he raped me, then he gets the death penalty.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Time for some wailing feminists.
Okay. Yeah. Just some. Brian.
Yes.
Stop. Jesus Christ! Stop.
Why?
Oh, we got a donation, or we got support.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So we've been spared the horrible wailing feminists.
That was not
They
even...
sound worse. They sound worse than my dog when the fire trucks go by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Quiet, woman!
Well, technically Kevin is a bitch.
She is. A gigantic freaking psychotic bitch.
All right, so
clever.
I have to thank... Give me a second here. Michael O for $100. So thank you, Michael O. You spared us from the wailing feminists.
Holy crap, Michael O.
Yeah.
Wait, how much? How much?
$100. $100.
Oh, let me see. I'm gonna give him a wog for that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, no, that actually sounds much more pleasant than the feminist.
The wailing feminist, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if we could even get to 30 with these questions. Like, that's what part of the reason why I say we should probably skip the ones that are basically I'm gonna hold to my guns on this. Basically Islamophobia, or at least brown Islamophobia.
Okay, let's just read them one after another, and if it's Islamophobic, we just skip a response. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Number 22. Can you name one country where large groups of women publicly flog and beat men as a form of punishment for being seen out alone without a female chaperone?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Islamophobic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So it interestingly, when she's talking about these Islamic countries, what's funny is that men are the ones expected to essentially maintain the order. So it's an expectation that is put on them by women. So you're going to see instances most of the time where, even though all of these laws are at least in part, if not like the majority, are put in place to essentially protect women in some fashion, and women are more than happy to go along with that because that's what they want. And they're also the ones that are going to essentially, sort of like maintain the social order, but also ask that or expect that men will dole out punishment for anyone, male or female, that essentially opposes the order, the social order that the women in these Islamic countries mete out. And this woman sees that as patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Laws tend to be downstream of like social mores.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much women who establish social mores, and you can see it with the Hollywood reaction dyad. So something happens, a person is introduced, whatever, and then we cut to a woman reacting to it. A woman in that situation is setting the audience's opinion or feelings about the phenomenon, the person, the location, whatever. She's telling people what to think and feel about it. Yeah. And that is establishing social mores. Women are primarily responsible for establishing social mores. I'm actually not even sure that men are capable of it, maybe to a certain degree. And
it might depend on the law, but yeah.
Yeah. And laws are downstream of social mores. So the reason why Texas, for example, has the abortion laws it has is because the women in Texas set a particular social more about engaging in that activity. And then the laws are downstream of the women, which is even more emphasized by the fact that women had the vote, but they were able to do it when they didn't have the vote. Look at prohibition. Mm-hmm. Look at the tender years doctrine. Look at all of the things that women put in place prior to having the vote politically. But anyway, that's my point, and we can go on to the next one.
Okay. Number 23. Can you name one country where men have been forbidden from using any form of contraception? Well, actually, there was the male birth control pill that was opposed, right? So,
okay, so you have this situation where so the male birth glossy pole, which is what it was called, right, was basically kiboshed by the feminist movement, and there were problems with glossy pole that turned up after that big, huge reaction. But the feminists were like, oh my God, right? Oh my God, this could be men taking their reproductivity into their fertility into their own hands. Heaven forfend, right? Okay, and because it was promising at the time, right? It ran into some stumbling blocks later, right? Same with the male hormonal birth control pill, right? The study was stopped because of side effects. Oh, the feminists.
But side effects would be harmful to men. Feminists didn't oppose it because of the side effects. They opposed it because they didn't want men to have any control over their reproductive ability at all. Yeah.
Okay. Then you look at Vassal Gel, which is being spearheaded by a charity that mostly looks at ways of sterilizing animals without interfering with their hormonal health. Okay. And so basically you're looking at a situation where there's no pharmaceutical company who's actually funding any of this. It's all funded by charity. Go to Vassal Gel, go to the Parsimus Foundation and throw some dollars in that hat, please, to get that reproductive fertility control technology reversible, long-lasting, very low cost, lasts at least 10 years, reversible, and all of that. Yeah, dependable. Okay, and doesn't have the same side effects as vasectomy, right? Because vasectomy blocks it basically blocks the vas deferens, so the sperm that are generated and continuously generated end up having to be basically digested by your body and reabsorbed, right? Which can cause long-term side effects 20, 30, 40 years down the line, right? Whereas this, it lets all those sperm through. It just puts them through a frickin' cheese grater before they pass through it. So they all get shredded, basically, is what it is. So it doesn't have those same side effects. But then also look at back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when feminists protested the mass production of condoms, right? Back when rubber became a thing, right? And people, because back before then, you had something called the French leather, right? Which was a sheepskin condom, and it was generally pretty expensive because they weren't mass produced. And so a prostitute who used one of these could basically, it might cost her a month's income to just buy one. and she would have to wash it and reuse it, right?
Yeah.
But then rubber was introduced, and so it was like, oh, all of a sudden, right, we can mass produce these things for super cheap. Feminists teamed up with puritanical Christian fundamentalists, right, to try to ban the sale of these rubber condoms, not to women, only to men.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Only to men.
Is it surprising that there's such a foundation, like such a synergy between like anti-male sexuality Puritans and progressives and feminists in the initial stages of those movements? Like they were very closely tied.
It was the same thing in Canada. In Canada, when they were bringing in the Swedish rule for prostitution, the Swedish rule being, or the Swedish model being, it's not illegal to sell sex, it's only illegal to purchase sex. Right? So prostitutes can never be prosecuted for selling sex. The dealers, okay, the dealers get off scot-free. The addicts get prosecuted, which is the exact opposite of what you would normally see, right? Okay, the small-time buyers, they get prosecuted. The dealers, they get off scot. So yeah, no, it was feminists and Christian fundamentalists who teamed up to bring in the Swedish model in Canada.
The antipathy towards male sexuality in Christianity. This is the one thing I criticize Christianity for big time. The antipathy towards male sexuality was the door that all of this walked through. This is how feminism got its toehold and just went from there. Because from the antipathy towards males, is that the way they pronounce antipathy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Antipathy. From that antipathy towards male sexuality came all of the feminist rhetoric around domestic violence and rape, which then came from that flowed all of the feminist control over those government and academic institutions, and also justification for the belief in patriarchy. So that was the door they walked through. That was the first step, which is why we need to reclaim the idea of male sexuality as being healthy, innocent, beneficial, and psychologically normal. And not only those things, but also the idea that men don't objectify when they have sex, and in fact, sexuality is one of the root causes for why we have theory of mind, and we understand each other as having minds. That's part of our sexuality. So rather than sexuality being something that's degrading, it's actually something that makes us human. The way that we human beings express our sexuality is a fundamental part of what makes us human. And that is that men take part in that no less than women. Maybe women take part in that a little less, but who knows? Considering what we were reading yesterday, Brian. But
Yeah.
but look at it this way, right? Look at porn, right? Like actually go and look at porn, right? What do you see? You see close-up shots of the man's universal cock doing the work, doing the heavy work, and lots of close-ups of the woman's face enjoying the work, right? And you barely see the man's face.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to know what he's experiencing.
You don't care.
Yeah.
At least I do, but I guess the average porn viewer doesn't care.
Yeah, no. And it's like, oh, if you show his face, then, men won't necessarily. I mean, this was why Ron Jeremy got so popular, was because, he's the every ugly man, right? And he's scoring with all these hot chicks, right? And so he was like a universal cock that a lot of, low status men could be like, he's like short, he has a hairy back, he's stocky, he's kind of chubby, he's got an ugly face, but he still manages to get these girls, right? And so, but when it comes to these like super hot men, the only times you actually really see the man's face is in porn designed for women.
Mm-hmm. But so the idea of it, and setting aside the Ron Jeremy digression, is that the focus is on the woman's enjoyment and the woman's desire. And
her experience of all of the emotions and all of the physical sensations.
Outside of like gonzo stuff or really like BDS. Well, I guess even
that.
Yeah.
Even that, yeah.
Okay, so the focus is on the mind of the woman as expressed through the facial expressions. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't have
and
that.
Vocalizations.
And you would just have a body. That's it. That's all you would see. It's just the woman's body. But there is a huge emphasis on the facial expressions of women. In fact, when women look at naked women, they're more likely to look at the sexual parts, like the breasts, the genitals, whereas men are more likely to look at the face. So, there's a bit of an aside, but until we regain the ability to see male sexuality as innocent and beneficial and part of what makes us human, until we return it.
Or at least benign for the most part, right?
Well, I go way for more than benign. We need to start seeing
normal sexuality for both men and women is benign, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but we want to pathologize male sexuality. Even normal male sexuality is being pathologized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no. And here's the thing, right? You have all of this literature, scientific literature on how, male ejaculate unprotected into a woman's vagina, right, delivers feel-good chemicals that make her feel good within 45 minutes, right? Like, these are hormones, right, that enter her bloodstream and start making her feel good, making her feel positive within 45 minutes of unprotected sex. This is why women prefer, I think, one of the reasons why women prefer unprotected sex. And non-condom sex. And so you're looking at a situation where it's like, male sexuality can definitely be beneficial. And men can make women feel more confident in their bodies. Men are very, very unlikely. Every man I've talked to, right? And I used to be the go-to sex therapist at work, right? Among all these young men and women. Every woman I talked to was like very, very insecure about their body image, right? And every man I talked to was like, why won't she even have sex with me with the TV on? She doesn't want me to see her body. I don't care if it's not perfect. I don't care if she has stretch marks, right? I don't care about any of that. I love this woman, and I want to see her while we're having sex, and I want to see her face. 90% of the time, men and women, while they're having sex, they're not zooming out and having the whole view on, oh, you're a little flabby there, and you're a little like not firm there, and you got a paunch, and and your boobs are a little saggy. No, they're like right in there, close up, and they're not seeing the imperfections, right? They're seeing that they want to see, but they're not wanting to see because they want to be like, oh, you're fat. No. Or you're flabby, or you're saggy, or whatever, right? That's not what they're wanting to see. They're just wanting to see, right? And because men have they have a larger visual cortex than women, and a larger proportion of it is devoted to sexual response than in women.
But I wonder if that's also interpreting facial expressions too.
Of course it is.
So it's not just physical appearance; it's also facial expressions
and vocalizations.
Right? Listening to this, maybe we should start like a show that's just about talking about sexuality. taking people's questions. Maybe that would be appreciated. Say in the comments if you'd like something like that. Something that's a little more positive than what you get from everywhere else, shall we say.
It might be interesting. Anyway, okay, let's
keep
move
going.
on.
Although we might have to do some more feminist screaming soon.
Well, let me read another one and then let me see. Yeah.
Because they'll both be essentially the same.
Oh, and we should get super chats. So send your super chats in too, guys.
Oh, we have a couple super chats. I'll read those. Vent Hello gives us 10 pounds and doesn't say anything. So thank you, Vent Hello. I don't know if you meant to say something. But if you did, just tag at Badger Live Streams in a... Paul Grofton gives us $5 and says, check out the Celebrating Masculinity 2-minute movie film festival contest at amarambler.misstrikingly.com. I think I got that link and I sent it to Allison, actually. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the message, Paul. And then Thunderstorm gives us $4.99 and says, social engineering, indoctrination, and Marxism has done its job internalizing class and self-sabotage for relationships and childbirth. Yeah. Thank you for those super chat.
The door all this shit walked through was the fundamentalist Puritan attitude towards male sexuality. That's where it started. That's the door that got opened. All right. Because it all cycles back to that. I've noticed that when I have arguments with feminists, they really dig deep when it comes to casting male sexuality as something inhuman and rapey. Like they really, really latch on to that because it's the foundation of everything. Once you pull that pin, they got nothing. All right, let's keep going.
Johnny Boy Quick Draw gives us $5 and says, the wailing feminists don't hold a candle to Karen's randy female bonobo voice. Just saying.
They're not supposed to hold a candle to it. It's like this is a punishment.
The punishment.
I thought my randy female bonobo voice was like Marge Simpson or something.
Oh,
it is kind of. It's like a Marge Simpson voice, yeah. All right, number 24. Can you name one country where a man has never been in power or leadership in government? Well, most men don't. So
but I can't really name a country where a woman hasn't been.
Hey, can you name a country
or in government?
Can you name a country in which a woman or man in power has actually said, "I am going to help men"?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a man in power saying, "I am not going to do anything for women"?
No, you don't even have to go that far. Just a man in power saying, "I'm here to help men."
Yeah. No.
Have you ever?
Well, yeah. You
have you ever heard
that?
No, but only a class of men, like a group of men.
But you heard that more back when women were directly dependent on individual men, their husbands, their fathers, their sons, their brothers.
But they were talking about helping working men, probably not just men in general, because they're probably still part of a society that discriminated against men who didn't have a mother or a sister or a daughter or a wife that they were supporting.
But what I'm saying is, and then also on top of that, I have never heard of a country where a woman has not attained a position of power.
True. Okay, can we move on?
All right. Number 25. Can you name one country where men are not allowed to apply for a passport without the express permission of a woman? Number 26. Can you name one country in the world where women kill more than 3 men per week?
What?
Can you name one country in the world where women kill more than 3 men per week?
Okay, but 3 men per week per 100,000 per million.
I don't know what she's
population.
saying.
You know what? This is a completely orphan statistic.
It doesn't prove anything. Like you could have a country of like 1 billion people, right? Where men kill 3 women per week, right? And then you have a country of like, I don't know, Liechtenstein or something like that, or Switzerland, who don't kill 3 women per week.
Also,
because they have like this teeny tiny, like it's an orphan statistic. It's like a freaking. There's no context. Fact check, lacking context.
Also, there are other situations where groups of people are more likely to express themselves through violence because they've been disenfranchised in many cases. And if we took out all of the sons of single mothers, for example, what would this statistic actually look like after that?
Agreed.
And it is a woman's choice to raise a child without, for the most part, most children of single mothers are children of single mothers because of their mother's choice. Not because a man walked out. So this is a social problem, definitely, but it doesn't mean that there isn't misandry in the world any more than the fact that, for example, black people are more likely to kill white people than the reverse. Doesn't mean that there isn't racism or systemic disenfranchisement of black people. Certainly in terms of maintaining their families and communities. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Oh, no. And I just want to add Edmund Kemper, right, who was the case study for the behavioral sciences unit at the FBI back in the 1970s, I believe, right? He killed his mom, he killed his mom's friend, then he started killing random women, right? Well, he was a butt-ugly guy who was gigantic and fat, right? So he's like super tall, very fat, really ugly, had bad eyes. He was just like a bad genetic specimen, right? And his mother abused him, and he basically told the guys who basically started the behavioral sciences unit, it's a horrible thing for a woman to denigrate her son, right? That was the source of all of his anger. His mother, who was divorced, who kicked her husband out, his father out, and then spent the entirety of his childhood favoring his sister and denigrating him and treating him like shit, right? And that was basically what caused or exacerbated, maybe he had an existing psychopathology, but it certainly didn't help to have a mother who treated him that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
We learn our values at our mother's knees,
mm-hmm.
right?
Okay,
and so basically what you're saying is if men who act out
Let me just get this straight. You're saying...
Yeah, I'm saying that when men act out in an impulsive way, right? When psychologically damaged, psychopathological men act out against women, it's generally because they've been traumatized by women. Usually their mothers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, we blame women, and guess what? You can't stop us.
Well, I'm not blaming women. I'm just saying women are part of the problem.
You're blaming women who are abusive, which is different than blaming women. This is the funny thing, is that women who are abusive create a lot of this pathology. And then nobody allows for the fact that they should take responsibility. We're not blaming all women. We're just recognizing that women who are abusive create this kind of stuff.
Everybody recognized that Eileen Wuornos, that movie Monster with Charlize Theron, right?
Yeah.
Everybody recognized that, oh my God, she's been traumatized by so many men. No wonder she started randomly luring and killing men, right? Oh, we should feel pity for her and sympathy for her because she was traumatized by men, and then she took it out on men who did not traumatize her, right? Everybody, basically, like the movie won an Oscar,
mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, because she was such a sympathetic character, right? Yet we don't have any sympathy for men who've been traumatized by, not just by women, but by the woman in their life who is supposed to be universally loving, universally accepting, universally kind, universally nurturing. We don't have any sympathy for them.
Yeah, and feminists will say, well, they were just felt entitled to being not treated like shit. Well, yeah, I guess that's an aspect of being a social species. We do feel entitled to attention and affection.
Yeah.
Not being treated like shit.
We do feel entitled to not being treated like shit by our own mothers. That would be great.
Okay. Let's move on. Unless we're going to do some feminist wailing, because people have not been. Maybe I should tell them where to donate before you start.
There's going to be a pause shortly.
Okay, I'll wait for the pause.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, feedthebadger.com if you want this to stop, which I really fucking do. I think we're punishing ourselves, actually. Jesus Christ. Feedthebadger.com! Make it goddamn stop!
I just stopped it there. There's still 30 seconds of wailing left in that sound clip.
No, finish the punishment.
What, woman?
Feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. Go there. We are so close. So close. I think we have like $40 left. Come on, guys. Let's get this done. I could just imagine we get to the finish line, and then they're like, come on, $40.
Out. All right, $40.
Somebody's got to have it in them. Got to have it in them. All right. Next question.
Number 27. Can you name one country in the world that states that male prisoners can only leave prison if they transferred into the guardianship of a woman who will then control them?
So, and they could also just play out their prison time.
I wouldn't play the prison card.
What? I can't name a single fucking country where a man would be released from prison into the custody of a woman.
Yeah.
At all, period.
So because women have an additional option, because I assume they can also serve their time.
They have a privilege that men don't have. That's misogyny.
And presumably the woman is choosing the man she can be released into the custody of, most likely.
What the fuck?
This is absolute nonsense. Let's go to the next one. This is retarded on its face.
Number 28. Can you name one country in the world where a man is not recognized as a whole person before the court?
Islamophobia.
And therefore cannot give evidence in trial unless it is backed up by a woman who is deemed as a whole person.
Okay, the reason why they do this is because women are more likely to be believed. This is Islamophobia. Next question.
Yeah.
Number 29. Can you name one country in the world where men do not have the right to vote, but women do? United States? Well, but men only have the right to. Men only have the vote under the condition that they register for selective service. So if men don't register, they don't get the vote. So if your real question boils down to, can you name one country in the world where the man's vote and the women's vote are actually treated completely differently from each other, therefore it creates two different classes of citizen? Yeah, it's called the United States.
And every other place in the world, actually.
Oh, yeah, no, and here's the thing, right? Kuwait, right? 1983. Right? Maybe it was 1987 when women got the vote, right? Oh, how misogynistic. Oh, but you know what? Men in Kuwait are inductable into the military because there is a draft. Men are inductable into the military at age 18 and a half. And women are not inductable at all. And men who are serving in the military do not have the right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, but anyway, so what this question should be really rephrased as, well, first of all, yes, we do know almost every country in the world men do not have the right to vote. Actually, they have no citizenship privileges as rights. They have those privileges they don't. They are privileges for men, and they're privileges in exchange for the willingness to go out and give up your life for the service of your country, which is something that women do not have to face or deal with. And for those of you who say that, but it's not a direct correlation. It is absolutely 100% a direct correlation. Whenever a male citizen of the United States, for example, interacts and tries to enjoy any of his citizenship privileges, he's put on a registry that indicates that he will give up his life in service of his country. You can't vote without an ID. You can't get an ID as a male citizen of the United States without being put on a register. Period.
Yeah. No, and here's the thing too, right? There are men who because you have to register before you're 26, or you permanently lose a bunch of rights like access to student loans and Pell Grants and federal employment within the federal government and all kinds of stuff, right? And you could be subject to a $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison, right? Okay, so there's this guy who he was in prison between the ages of 18 and 26, and then he wanted to go to school, and he couldn't get a student loan because nobody told him while he was in prison. You have to. He didn't apply for. I guess he didn't apply for a driver's license or an ID or anything like that. He wasn't automatically registered through one of the many mechanisms in which they register you. And so he went. While he was in prison, nobody told him, "Oh, you got to register for this, or you're going to lose a bunch of options in your life." And so now he's fucked. Now he's fucked. He can't go. He can't get a student loan. He doesn't have access to employment with the federal government. He doesn't have access to any Pell Grants for school. He doesn't have all of these things that women get as a matter of course the moment that they turn 16, and that they never lose, no matter what they do. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah, no, it's this whole double standard is fucking psychotic. And
well, it's because society is fundamentally built for the benefit of women at the expense of men.
I know.
And I know that sounds like the reverse of the feminist, but the thing is, it doesn't mean that women aren't subject to controls. And
it just means that we want to provide for and
protect women. And it's like statistically obvious that the average woman, or average person, male or female, wants to provide for and protect for women. How would a society created from the decisions of the overlapping decisions of men and women? How would a society ever develop from those overlapping decisions to benefit men at the expense of women when everybody wants to make sure women are preferentially provided for and protected? Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
No. And okay, South Korea. This is the hilarious thing. And I asked you remember when I was at your place your dad's place in Calgary, right? Mm-hmm. And we had the South Korean film crew and interviewing us. And I asked them about this, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, this is true." Okay, so used to be that men, well, it still is that only men are conscripted. Right. And this is not a draft. This is not in case of wartime. This is automatic. Right. At age 18, you have to serve almost 2 years, something like 22 months in the military or in civil service at an extremely low rate of pay. Right. Okay, as basically picking litter off of highways or whatever, right? Like you're like prison labor. So that's what you have to do as a man, right? And in order to compensate these men whose twin sisters and female same-age peers were all going into university and getting a 2-year head start on their careers, they were allowed to actually use some of that service as credit in university. right? So if you were in the military as, a technician or something like that, right, you could use that as credit in the university. And so you could sort of get a little bit of a jump on your university education. You could skip maybe a year of your courses. And so then the feminists started complaining that this was unfair to women because it gave men a head start. Gave men an unfair head start and an unfair advantage over women. So they kiboshed it. So now young men get conscripted for 22 months after they finish high school. Before they enter university, all of their same-age female peers get that 22-month head start on them, and these men are not allowed to use any of their service as credit in university to help them catch up, because that would disadvantage women.
Ridiculous.
It's
All
insane.
right.
It's insane.
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah, next one. Back to the list. Can you name one?
You're so thrilled by this list.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Can you name one country in the world where a woman has a legal right to stop her husband from working an occupation she doesn't like or want him to do?
Yes! Yes, it's called Iran. She can divorce him if he has a job that causes her humiliation. At which point she gets to collect her entire mahr, her entire bride gift, which is the equivalent of anywhere between 30,000 and 180,000 American dollars. Just ask how long it takes a cab driver in Tehran to earn that. Okay, and a monthly alimony for the rest of her life.
Okay, once again, this is Islamophobia. Let's move on.
This could also, like, the same kind of coercion could be used in Western countries too. If the man says, I think I want to be a painter and I want to give up my job as an electrician, she could
or
basically...
a high-powered lawyer.
Yeah, or a high-powered lawyer that works 80 hours a week. She could just divorce him.
Houses. Yeah, I just want to paint houses. No, I actually I knew a guy, right, who worked on an oil rig. His wife talked him into doing it, right? He lived in Nova Scotia. He worked in northern Alberta he was a foreman on a rig, right? So basically he was making like about $10,000 a month. And he had